Who knew that all it took to save Raw was to get rid of a very old man and instead employ his son-in-law, who is infinitely more in touch with modern wrestling? That's right, everyone knew. The Triple H era is only a couple of weeks old as of this video going out, but it already feels like it could be WWE's best attempt yet to fix the red brand. Calling it the best attempt might sound like praise, but considering how truly awful a lot of the previous attempts have been, it's a bit like saying it's the best broken nose you've ever received because it healed nicely. I'm Andy Datson, hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are WWE's 10 dumbest attempts to fix Monday Night Raw. Do you know how you can fix Raw? Well, that would be by subscribing to partsFUNknown for lots of great wrestling content, quizzes, and whatever else we can think of. Number 10. The Superstar Shakeup. One thing that WWE has never seemed to comprehend about their brand split is it's hard to link a brand's identity to its roster when its roster is constantly changing. Gone are the days of SmackDown being The Undertaker and Rey Mysterio's home, and Raw being the land of Shawn Michaels and Triple H for years on end. But since the reintroduction of the brand split in 2016, the rosters are almost entirely shuffled each year. No longer do cool Raw vs SmackDown matches like Rey Mysterio vs Shawn Michaels exist because no one has that level of brand loyalty anymore. That is all because of WWE's modern-day answer to their old annual draft episode, the Superstar Shakeup, which was introduced in 2017 and ran until WWE brought a draft back in 2019 and was less fun in every conceivable way. WWE didn't get that when people switch brands all willy-nilly, you can't quite promote brand warfare and have all the people care about it. Hell, The Miz has switched brands every single year since the brand split except 2021. Gun to your head, what brand was The Miz on in 2019? See, you don't know, and now you're dead. Unfortunately, I didn't know either, so now I'm dead. Oh well, I guess my brother and Ezekiel can cover me from here on out. Number 9. The Wildcard Rule / Quarterly Cross-Brand Invitational. But WWE's ineptitude with their brand split does not end with their annual shakeup, because even then, sometimes it doesn't even matter what brand people get drafted to, as whether it was called the Wildcard Rule in 2019 or the Quarterly Cross-Brand Invitational, WWE will on occasion just throw their hands in the air, wave them around like they just don't care, and declare that Raw and SmackDown stars can more or less come and go as they please. Of course, because this is WWE, it is never as simple as just properly dissolving the brand split. Instead, WWE put for the rules for the wildcard rule that up to 4 wrestlers would be allowed to appear on the opposing brand's show by invitation for one night only, and unsanctioned appearances would be penalised with a fine or termination. Were any of the dozens of stars who crossed the WWE embargo line ever penalised? Nope. 8. Raw Dark. Because what was really wrong with Raw was the lights. 2019 really was the year that WWE threw everything at the wall to fix Raw with absolutely nothing sticking. When Mick Foley sauntered out to the ring on the May 2029 episode of Raw, he not only opened a bag that unleashed a pestilence upon WWE programming, that plague of course being called the 24/7 Championship, but he also promised that the third hour of Raw would become downright mean and nasty, and a little bit dirty. Narrator? It did not. This vague description of the changes coming to Raw understandably left fans baffled, because come on, The Rock could have delivered that line and ain't no one in the building going to understand what that means, or how it was going to improve the show that was continuing on a downward slide down ratings mountain. But how did Raw become mean, nasty and a little bit dirty? They dimmed the lights. Nope, seriously, the third hour of Raw was just the same show, but they shut the house lights off and turned off the entrance during the show. Shockingly, this didn't work on Raw, or to help improve my love life. I just thought she'd love me more if she couldn't see my face. 7. The Guest Host Era. Celebrities have always been ingrained in the fabric of WWE. WrestleMania 1 was a success in large part due to the celebrity involvement in that show. But when the celebrities become the focus of the show rather than the wrestlers, then you get WrestleMania 38. Oh, pardon me, I mean you get the guest host era of Raw. Some of these hosts were really fun and entertaining. Bob Barker was a treasure, almost making Chris Jericho crack by threatening to spank him for throwing his name tag on the ground. Steve Austin was great when he was brought in to host the WrestleMania rematch episode of Raw, but most of these hosts were just in there to plug whatever movie or album they were releasing at the time. I'm looking at you, Jeremy Piven. This era of Raw was legendarily bad at promoting matches and building to pay-per-views, while SmackDown was quietly having an excellent year with thoughtful stories and excellent matches. I mean, having random people guest host shows is a dumb idea, and it would never work. 6. Old School Raw. There isn't anything wrong with having special episodes of your wrestling show. Hell, every other week there's a new special episode of AEW Dynamite. I mean, surely you can do better than Quake by the Lake. But with AEW, it is often just a way to signify there are going to be some high-profile matches on the show. WWE, on the other hand, well, WWE goes a bit nuts with it. There are some fun shows like the Raw Roulette and King of the Ring, but there were also shows like Old School Raw / Raw Reunion / Legends Night. Shows where the purpose of his existence is to dress the show up like it's 1993 and have heels like Randy Orton tell legends like Ric Flair that they are in fact old. WWE has access to more legends of wrestling past than any other company, and these shows could be doing so much more to actually elevate young talent while still giving the legends the respect they deserve. You will often see these shows announced after a particularly bad rating to try and generate some buzz, but that buzz never seems to last. 5. McMahon's $1 Million Mania. It is often hard to believe that Vince McMahon is a real human who does regular human things. Some of that is because of the countless stories of his bizarre quirks over the years, and some of that is because of what we see with our own eyes when we get things like McMahon's $1 Million Mania. The concept of McMahon giving away a fat million to fans for watching Raw was bonkers on its own, but the execution of this made it truly iconic. We all got to watch not really that human Vince McMahon trying to dial on the phone, deal with being sent to voicemail, and actually being rickrolled live on air. To some, this is the peak of Vince's bizarre nature playing out on TV, while to others it was one of the dumbest ways to try and get people to watch a show that it was constantly interrupting. The concept was a failure and a waste of money, and was cancelled after only 1 month when God themselves destroyed the stage, taking revenge for Backlash 2006. Actually, I must check that voicemail from 2008. 4. The 2 out of 3 Falls era. As a general rule, having as little wrestling during commercial breaks is one I can get on board with. The action should be a focus of the show, and we don't want to miss the exciting bits waiting for a commercial to end. But the alternative that WWE provided in 2019 was not the answer to this conundrum. Instead of just changing the format of the show to cut out the unnecessary bits and scheduling matches around the breaks, every match that was set to go longer than just a few minutes became a 2 out of 3 Falls match. Meaning every match was split into 3 parts so they could take their time in between matches as commercial breaks. These matches weren't any longer than they would have been, mind you, so you had people like newly crowned WWE champion Kofi Kingston getting pinned in 2 minutes, all so that they could throw to a commercial. They tried to do the most conventional but least effective option to solve this problem and just created infinitely more problems for themselves in the process. 3. Raw Underground. Well, if Shane wasn't going to be given the reins to Monday Night Raw, he would make his own Raw, one with hookers and blackjack, and it would be a Fight Club, a totally topical movie reference that was totally not 20 years out of date. WWE was real desperate to throw everything at the wall during the Performance Center portion of the pandemic era, and what we got was Retribution. Great start. And Raw Underground, a hidden nook of the Performance Center where Shane McMahon would allow wrestlers to blow off steam in shoot fights that really just played out like matches that were shorter and worse because you had people with no fighting background having to pretend they could win in real fights. Shockingly, this didn't work, and the whole concept was scrapped soon after when fear of another COVID outbreak swept WWE. And to be fair, if you were going to catch COVID at the time, the Raw Underground set would seem like the place to get it. 2. We are the authority. A promo that has gone down in infamy. In December of 2018, Raw had its lowest ever rating. Pardon me, its lowest rating so far, because, oh boy, they could still dig deeper. And rather than change the things that were driving people away from the product, like a morally bankrupt deal with Saudi Arabia, the 2 full years of Brock Lesnar holding up the championships, or ridiculously awful promos being written for people like Dean Ambrose, WWE instead fired the kayfabe authority figure Constable Corbin and informed us, the fans, that we were the authority. Well, that's news to me, bro. This was seen as a reset button moment at the time, with WWE supposedly doing away with automatic rematches in an effort to cut down on repetitive shows, but like most changes in WWE, they reverted back to the way things were very quickly, as we were all left to look at our new name plaques on our desks that said The Authority, and think that it may have all been just a bit disingenuous. Number 1. Hot Lesbian Action. Oh, you might think the dumbest of WWE ideas would come in the last few years with rapidly declining ratings, an ever-changing roster, and the most nonsensical booking choices, but no. No. Truly, the dumbest idea to fix Monday Night Raw came all the way back at the inception of the Ruthless Aggression era. While SmackDown had the SmackDown 6 tearing up the show every week and creating an era that is still talked about with reverence to this day, Raw had lesbians. Everyone loves lesbians, WWE thought to themselves. Unfortunately, not in a yay, equal rights, love wins, be accepting of others and their differences type way, but in a hehehe, girls kissing is hot type way. WWE, culturally appropriate as ever. This really is the dumbest thing. Wrestling fans are often talked about as if they are the lowest common denominator of society, and this was a decision made to play right into that perception. This did not, in fact, fix Raw or the problems that plagued it for much of the early to mid-2000s, and probably didn't succeed in turning many people on either, because everyone knows if you want the good stuff, you just go to www.stuckstepmums.co. And that's our list. Let me know what you think the worst attempt to save Raw was in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to partsFUNknown, and as always, jam that jam. Finally, I get to say the catchphrase that I invented.